So the Baltimore Ravens are in the business of bringing back some very, very familiar faces. And this is actually something that we talked about early in the week when it comes to relationships in the NFL. It's very, very important that you do not burn your bridges. You do not leave on bad terms as best as you can. I understand sometimes some things happen. That's life. But you got to try your best to keep good relationships. And the Baltimore Ravens are a key example of that with their latest hire because CoCap is back in the building. That is, of course, Anthony Levine. Let's read the report that came from Matt Zenitz, and he's actually been dropping a lot of stuff recently. I wasn't familiar with his game, but I'm getting familiar with it now. Anyway, he said the Ravens are expected to hire Anthony Levine as an assistant special teams coach, sources tell CBS Sports. Said Levine, who played for the Ravens from 2012 to 2021, was an assistant special teams coach for the Titans the last 2 years. I was not familiar with that. And it said he worked for the Ravens in 2022 as a personnel and a coaching assistant. So Levine is back in the building. And Anthony Levine, when he was on the field, when he was playing, he was very, very well respected from literally everybody. Whenever you hear somebody talk about Anthony Levine, they always talk about how respected he was. Whether it's a coach, whether it's a player, even fans who have met him, everybody says the exact same thing. So that will make his voice as a coach, that'll allow the players to hear him a lot better since he was somebody that was so well respected. Matt Zenitz also added, he said Levine finished his 10-year run as a Ravens player as Baltimore's all-time leader in special teams tackles. He played in 146 games as a player with the Baltimore Ravens. So, Ravens with special teams. Last year, they weren't the most special in the world, and they had their blunders here and there, and they cleaned up some stuff toward the end of the season. But special teams has been a bit shaky over the past really couple of years. With the punting, it's been like, okay, it's been a little wonky here and there. With the kicking, in the last couple of years, and obviously this year, the first half of the year was like, oh my goodness, what is happening? Then the second half of the year, they got it cleaned up after the bye week. But even in the return game, it hasn't really been anything crazy, not really anything special consistently. We've obviously had some nice moments like Tylan Wallace last year against the Rams. I think Devin Duvernay maybe a couple of years ago, but it has, and not that we expecting a kick return every single week because that's not how it goes down. But special teams overall, they could definitely use some work. So bringing in Anthony Levine to be another set of eyes, be another set of ears as well when it comes to special teams and everything that's happening with special teams, it can only help in my opinion. Chris Horton, I don't know if his seat is a little worn out, but anyway, Ravens special teams, they definitely got to get it together, and this is a step in the right direction in doing that. It's all about them connections, baby. It's all about who you know. And we forgot to mention this hire earlier this week, but Jeff Ribick talked about another addition to the Ravens coaching staff will be assistant inside linebackers coach Matt Pease. And when you hear that last name, Pease, doesn't that sound awfully familiar? Well, it is, because he is the son of Dean Pease, who the Baltimore Ravens brought back after week 3 last season. And he said he will continue in an advisory role for the Ravens. Dean Pease will. Matt Pease will be the inside linebackers coach. So Dean said, hey, Ravens, we good still, right? We cool. Because Dean Pease, I believe he went to like the Titans and the Falcons. But now he's back with the Ravens. And he's been back since, again, after week 3 last year. He said, hey, y'all put me on. Hey, take care of my son. And hashtag Hood Harbaugh, he's like, you know, like, I'm good for it, man. What you want me to do? What you want? For you, I'll create a role. Oh, yeah, the advisory role for the defense. That'll be your role. Because, you slap the word advisor on anything, and boom, you can create anything. Like, Ravens have shown us that. They do it all the time, man. So shout out to Harbaugh, man. He be putting his people on. Again, don't get on Harbaugh's bad side. Because if you need a job, he's the one that you go to, man. He's the one. You don't want to have no bad relationship with him. Anyway, it said Matt Pease was a defensive analyst for the Bears last year, and he had previously been with Dean in both Tennessee and Atlanta. So, hey, he took care of his son before. He said, hey, where I go, you go. And this is just another stop for the Pease family. Now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you want to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or for the patrons, you can send your question in a DM directly on Patreon. And if y'all like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. First question came from my guy, Reginald. He said, will the narrative change? What's good, Ingraven? Hope all is well with you and the family. Aside from your videos, I've still been avoiding any media videos involving the Ravens since the loss in the playoffs, LOL. I'll be back in April for draft day. Ooh, that boy said he taking a long break. I get it though. I get you. He said, but anywho, as far as my question, now since the MVP award has been given out to Josh Allen, will we get a narrative change for him like there is for Lamar? They're in the same draft class, played the same amount of time, and they both had now at least have one MVP. Every year it's been Super Bowl or bust for Lamar, so in theory it should be the same for Josh Allen as well. If I put my biased opinion aside from having Mahomes at number 1 for the best QB in the league and having Lamar at number 2, realistically the top QBs in the AFC between Josh, Lamar, and Joe Burrow should all be at the same level until someone can take out Mahomes and win the Super Bowl. I'm glad you put win in all caps because obviously Joe Burrow is the only one that's been there. Lamar has gotten close, not close enough. Josh Allen has gotten close, not close enough. Joe Burrow, he's played in a Super Bowl, but they lost. And I know for the longest, a lot of not only Bengals fans, but a lot of media, they would hold this Super Bowl participation trophy up for Joe Burrow like, hey, he did it. He did, and they did beat the Chiefs in order to get there, but they ain't finished the job. So it's not good enough, in my opinion. It's great you made it to the Super Bowl, so you know you got that in the back of your mind, like, oh yeah, we can do that again. But when Lamar's been healthy, they ain't even come close. They ain't even made it to the playoffs when Lamar's been healthy. Anyway, he says, I was going to give Joe Burrow an extremely paper-thin edge, but since he's at least been to the Super Bowl, but he's still at 0 like everyone else. As far as the narrative goes, we'll see what happens next season, but I'm fully expecting it to be Super Bowl or bust for Lamar. And will Josh have enough help from his team to reach the Super Bowl for Josh? I get that. You're probably right. You are probably spot on because, you know, with Josh, they look, oh, Josh, it's okay, man. Look, you ain't getting MVP. Lamar, you got 2 already. That's enough. Josh, here, this one for you. Anyway, he said, team, keep it clean. If y'all take care, and just like the Ravens' unfortunate post-season success every year, I'm out. Next question came from my guy Serg. He said, Ingraven, happy New Year to you and the family. I hope all is well, though I'm sure our hearts are all hurting right now, so here we go. I've been a Ravens fan for 22 years. 17 of those years have been under John Harbaugh, and 16 of those 17 seasons have ended in heartbreak. Over the past 7 years, Lamar Jackson has been at the helm, leading the team to 6 playoff appearances. Of those 6, Lamar has played in 5. Yet, every single one of those playoff runs, whether with or without Lamar, has ended the same way. Turnovers and a departure from the identity that got us to the playoffs in the first place. Despite a revolving door of offensive coordinators and player personnel, the outcome remains unchanged. How much longer will this franchise continue to disrespect the fan base that funds their operation? Year after year, we plead for wide receivers, offensive linemen, cornerbacks, and more, but year after year, they seem to ignore those requests. Fans spend hard-earned money on merchandise, game tickets, and contribute to TV ratings, yet the organization remains dismissive of our concerns. The front office appears content with simply making the playoffs, knowing their jobs are secure, even as early exits become the norm. Now, remember, was it Eric DeCosta or was it Steve Bisciotti? I believe it was one of those two. I believe it was Bisciotti, but he talked about years ago. He mentioned how, the Ravens are competitive. They're a competitive team. And he said that, pretty much said he was good with that. He was good with them being a competitive team every year. They make the playoffs every year. They usually got a winning record every year if they're healthy and whatnot. So that, and I know that was years ago. I know that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because they was like competitive. Like that's it. That's good enough. And you got to understand, like, owners are different from fans. Owners are in it to make their money. If they putting the butts in the seats at the stadiums, if they getting all these deals and whatnot, the making money, making profit, they're good. Because as an owner of a business, that's what you want. You want to make profit. They're not fans. Yeah, that team wins, great. But as long as fans are engaging with them, as long as they buying the tickets, showing up at the stadiums, they getting these nationally televised games and whatnot, there's a lot of eyes on the team, they're good with that. And as a fan, it can be frustrating to understand that, but that's the reality of this whole thing, man. But anyway, continuing, he said, this season was especially hard to watch. The stubbornness of the coaching staff in the front office was glaring, especially considering how our playoff run ended last year. Their refusal to adapt or address glaring weaknesses is frustrating and disheartening. This is probably more of a rant than anything, but I have to ask, how much more heartbreak can we take before this franchise finally decides to make meaningful changes? That's a great question. Man, I don't. It would depend on, like, for, again, as fans, we get heartbroken, but for them, yeah, I'm sure they would love to win more Super Bowls. But again, they're in it a lot. They have Lamar Jackson, who is a draw. Like, he's a draw no matter what. People are going to want to go see Lamar Jackson. So with them, we would hope that the mentality for them would be, hey, no, let's get to the Super Bowl. Let's win Super Bowl. Let's let it be Super Bowls. But who knows? Now, I will say, the way that they've built these teams, especially over the past couple of years, they have built some really good teams. And in my opinion, they have built teams that have been good enough to win the Super Bowls the past 2 years, but they've fallen short. Last year or 2 years ago, AFC Championship, and this past season, they lost in the divisional round. Last year, in my opinion, a lot of that was on coaching, some execution too. This year was mostly on execution, some coaching too. So flip flop, but yeah, they've done enough these past couple of years. So hopefully they will continue, and hopefully they actually will do even more. I would love to see that, but again, with the Ravens, is very, very tricky, because that's something that's always in the back of my mind. Like, oh yeah, they said they just want to be, they're cool with being competitive. They're cool with being competitors, and they basically was saying like, hey, we don't win a Super Bowl, okay, whatever, but we still a winning franchise, which they technically are, but obviously we as fans, we want them to win even more. He said, still supporting this channel though. Hey, appreciate that. And he said, much love from the A, baby. Next question came from AR. He said, things cannot continue like this. And just like that, the season is over. We can't continue going out like this. The best team in the playoffs for the past 2 seasons, and to always come up short due to stupid mistakes and penalties. Let us start by comparing the Chiefs-Texans with this game. Chiefs got outplayed in all phases except special teams, and that was enough. That right there is a winner's mentality. You win even when your opponent outplays you. We got beat by a team that was not as good as us. They didn't have big bodies to stop the run, nor big bodies in the offense to run over us. Even the talent metric would lean to us, yet we came up short. Spot on. He said, this team is going to be back next season and going to make the playoffs again, and we'll all be excited again, but the problem begins in the playoffs. Lamar has to protect the ball better. He does for sure. He said, in the loss against the Chiefs and the Bills, we scored a touchdown in the first drive, and from there on, Lamar turns the ball over. The opponent takes the lead, and Lamar has to be Superman. Somebody makes a mistake in the comeback process. They fumble in Mark's nightmare game, and we come up short. Harbaugh has shown great skills in adapting mid-game to regain control of the pace, yet in both losses, we got outcoached at the initial approach. In both losses, the opponent found a way to break through our defense in the first 2 quarters. Our offense is designed in a specific format. Lamar gives us the lead. As momentum improves, give the ball off to Derrick Henry, and he'll run over the tired opposition. This whole plan is lost when we fall behind. It is. But that's part of the game. Like, you're going to play different when you're behind, especially if you fall behind multiple scores. But anyway, continue. He said next season, Todd will be gone. Probably, and I hope that they replace him with someone in the organization. Well, he ended up staying, so there we go. He said the defense's horrendous start is going to come as a blessing, as our DC is going to stay, probably. This defense is only going to keep on getting better. JT is still JT, thank God. And in short, I think we'll be competing this season, the next, and so on. But the problem starts at the playoffs. We need to stop kicking ourselves in the foot. There is no team that can beat us when we play our game properly. We need to just do our thing without making silly mistakes. As fans, I believe our next season's goal must be not to get overhyped and to stay humble and remind the team that they are the best in the world, and all they have to do is win. Or all they have to do to win is avoid penalties and unnecessary and uncalled turnovers. Well, hold on. He said our job as fans is to stay humble, and not get overexcited, but to let the Ravens know that they're the best team in the world. Like, anyway, continue. He said it doesn't matter if we go 17-0, 11-6, as long as we make the playoffs. That is not true for all teams, but it's true for us. For this team, the playoffs are a different season. The playoffs are a different season for every team, because it's win or go home. It ain't no like, we always talk about it. Like with playoffs, it ain't no, we'll get better next week and we'll come back and we'll get them. No, you're done. It's over for you. You losing the playoffs, that's a wrap. So the playoffs is a different atmosphere for everybody. But for the Ravens, yeah, they just be acting brand new in the playoffs, man. They really do. So that's been an issue. He said, my conclusion from this season, this is the best team in football and will hopefully stay so in the 2025 season. No one is blowing us out in a game. That's something too. The game that we got beat the most by was the Eagles. And hey, they the Super Bowl champs. So hey, we lost to both teams in the Super Bowl. So is that like, do we get a prize for that or something like that? But anyway, with the Eagles, they because we did get that like last second touchdown with like, what was it, like 20, 30 seconds left? I forgot how much time was left, but it wasn't really much time. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's a garbage time touchdown. Well, if we would have got an onside kickback, then we could have maybe. Hey, but anyway, the Eagles, they were the team that beat us, beat us the worst. And that game wasn't even no blowout like that. So yeah, you're right. Ravens don't get blown out. They really don't, man. They really don't. So that's what's frustrating about it, that they'll be in all of these games, man. They'll be in all of them. But just the silly stuff, man. He said, this is like a process. We just have to learn from the past 2 years and improve. But it's like, what's to learn? What's left to learn? Why wouldn't you learn from 2019? Why wouldn't you learn from 2020? Why wouldn't you learn the what was it, the 2021 or 2022 playoff game with Tyler Huntley? That don't really count because it was Tyler Huntley playing, wasn't Lamar. But what wouldn't you learn from 2023 making it to the AFC Championship? And then to what would you learn from this? Like, what's different? What's different? You keep doing the same stuff. So it seems like the Ravens are almost not learning anything and continuing to commit the same issues. And he said, with that, I'm out. Now, this next question came from my guy, Oreo Cookie. Now, this question he sent on January 19th, and get this. He said, hey, Ingraven, I'm sure you're being flooded with emails right now, and yeah, we got a lot to still cover. And hey, if y'all sent in a question, I got you. Just please bear with me. He said, I'll make it quick. Do you think that Lamar is done winning MVPs until he manages some playoff success? And look what happened. Look what happened. I would say no, though. It'd be nice to get both, though. Both MVPs of the regular season and MVPs of the postseason. That being the Super Bowl MVP. But we just gotta wait it out. But I would say no, because Lamar's Lamar. Lamar will continue to grow. Lamar will continue to do his thing out there on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and if the game got to be played on a Wednesday or Friday or Saturday, that too. So Lamar gonna continue to do his thing. That ain't no doubt in none of our minds about that part. As far as the MVPs, like, they're supposed to be for regular season. I mean, this year they were like, Lamar, you done got enough. That's enough for you, but you know how it goes. He said, until next year when we can be delusional again. Look, man, that's the thing. I feel like we weren't even delusional, though. The Ravens, they had such a great football team these past 2 years. I feel like it wasn't even delusion. It was belief. But with all belief, especially the past 2 years, how these things ended, now it can kind of feel like delusion in retrospect. But nah, I say no, because their teams were really good in the regular season, and they were getting better at the end of the regular season. They were really rolling at the end of the regular seasons even more. So we were like, oh yeah, this could be the year. And then, well, you know the rest. Now, these next questions came from my guy, Gerald Sports Jr. And we know right after the game, a lot of us were heated. We were upset. We were frustrated. And you're going to be able to tell the difference from right after the game to when his next question was yesterday. So anyway, he said, what's going on, Unc? Hope you and the family is good, because I'm so heated, dude. I can't believe the Ravens let me down. Every time I think we got it, we fail. And what makes it worse is that we lose to the Bills again. Like, dude, I don't think people understand what us Ravens fans got to go through with Lamar Jackson. People legit, they be racist and hating on, bro. Dude is legit. Led us to a huge drive, and this is what Mark Andrews does. Get him and Brandon Stevens off my team before I start crashing out even more. And the refs were so bad. I'm just so upset right now. I have these racist people in the media. I'm out, and I hope Mark Andrews and Brandon Stevens don't ever compare. I do not want no one to tell me it's just a game and etc. Bro, I'm so done with the Ravens. And every time I have an inch of hair, I hope we do this. Like, I legit don't care what happened for the rest of the year. After me graduating, like, OMG, I hate this so much, man. But when we need when we need Mark Andrews to show up, I'm out. Oh, he was saying, like, when we need Mark Andrews to show up, I'm out. He was so heated, he couldn't even type straight. So that boy would just go. He was mad. He was just flipping out, man. But he calmed down and he sent this question yesterday. This says, what's going on, Uncle? Hope you have a safe and lovely day. It's been forever since sending a message. I've been going through stuff since the Ravens lost to the Bills, but the bright side is that I graduate in 2 to 3 more months, and I'll send you the information after this email, and you just see the info. And if you make it, that will be so much better. But anyways, I appreciate that, man. Guy invited me to the graduation. I appreciate you, man. He said, I know Ravens flock has been talking about signing free agents or trading for a superstar edge or a wide receiver, rightfully so. But since I always do mock drafts for us after losing in the playoffs, but this is what I've been selecting for my mock draft 1.0. I know Ravens fans have been going crazy over Mike Green, and rightfully so. This man is literally a freak of nature. If you watch him during the Senior Bowl, you will understand why I said that. Now, I know people will question why I drafted 2 edge players, but Mike Green is a legit menace at the edge position, also projected to be an early second-round pick, so take him before someone does in the second round. And Jack Sawyer is a pit bull, always clutch and creates turnovers when it matters. Plus, you can never go wrong with having more than 1 or 2 great pass rushers in today's NFL. Is Jack Sawyer, is that the guy from, I want to say Ohio State? Or is it Ohio? I don't even remember right now. Anyway, he said, you can never have more than 1 to 2 great pass rushers in today's NFL with the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and etc. in the AFC. But my main personal favorites outside of Mike Green and Sawyer is easily Gray Zabel, Ja'Cory Brooks, and Ali Gordon II. And the reasons are because Zabel is just a monster and has a very high upside, and I love it. He can play left tackle, right tackle as well. So Roger can play left tackle, and Gray plays right tackle. He can also play left guard and right guard too. So yeah, if he's on the board, Ravens, you better draft him. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be drafting some offensive linemen because they certainly could be getting ready to lose some for sure. He said Ja'Cory Brooks is one of my personal favorites because he went to my favorite college football team, the Louisville Cardinals, which is the school that Lamar went to. But anyways, BR is a very good route runner, nice hands, and I have seen him catch the 50-50 balls a lot during his time with us. He reminds me and gives me a lot of more Amari Cooper or Stephon Diggs vibes. Okay, both of those really good receivers. And I want to say Diggs because I like Diggs and Ali Gordon II. I don't know if you looked at his stats. It's not the best, but if you watch OKSU football, the team around him was very bad. They couldn't block for him to save their lives, and everyone knew who was going to get the ball. But I feel like he can be our Derrick Henry replacement whenever Henry's ready to hang it up. Also, him learning from Henry and Justice Hill will help him grow and develop more as well. Anyway, sorry for the long message, but I hope you and Ravens flock have a great, blessed day. Next question came from my guy Jarvo. He said, EDC mentioned getting Lamar Jackson a big body receiver, and I believe he will do so in the draft because I don't think there's no good big receivers hitting the free agency this year. I do see EDC hitting big in the draft with players who can make an impact right away instead of project players. It's very, very important that they do that. Last year, first round pick Nate Wiggins obviously played a lot, impact. Roger Rosengarten was a second round pick, obviously played a lot, impact. Oh my goodness, my memory is just shot when it comes to the draft from last year. Now I don't remember anybody else. He said, my prediction for the Ravens is that we end up getting Crosby by the trade deadline. Oh, since the awards are over, let's have a Ravens award. Who wins the following awards? MVP, Lamar Jackson. Coach of the year, John Harbaugh, especially with the turnaround that the team did, both on offense and defense. Starting off 0-2, the defense was bad for the first 10 weeks. So yeah, I would say John Harbaugh. Defensive player of the year, I'll say Marlon Humphrey. Offensive player of the year, Lamar Jackson. I mean, if you gave Lamar Jackson MVP, you give it to Derrick Henry, either way. Ravens play of the year, the Lamar to Isaiah Likely, the touchdown where he fumbled the snap. And then picked it up, scrambled around, went back, went forward, and then threw to Isaiah Likely. Most improved player of the year, I would say, that's a tough one. Maybe Roger Rosengarten. Player to watch out for next season on offense and defense. Defense, I'm going to go Nate Wiggins. Offense, I will go, I feel like I ain't gonna say Lamar or Derrick Henry, obviously, but I'll say Rashad Bateman. So he could build up that consistency. Best offensive lineman of the year, Ryan Stanley. Best defensive lineman of the year, I would say Travis Jones. And the reason I say Travis Jones because his impact. When he was out, we felt it big time. But when he was back, yeah. And he said rookie of the year, I'll go with our guy, Nate the Great. And he also said, I know you're going to get this question a lot, but do you make a move for Debo or DK Samuel? How would Debo fit with our system? Debo would be a perfect fit with the Baltimore Ravens, but I would much rather than make a move for DK Metcalf. He would be such a great fit and just the health. He's much healthier than Debo Samuel, and he got that long stride. He's tall. You could do the jump balls with him. So I would much rather DK Metcalf. He said, thank you, Eagles, but now we're going to hear how Jalen Hurts is better than Lamar Jackson. My question is, what have you learned from the Super Bowl game that the Ravens must do to get on that stage and win? My answer is trenches. Boom. You answered it. That's it. Offensive line, defensive line. Eagles show like, hey, There's no excuses to get it done. There's none. He said, get our offensive line and defensive line right with also the addition of effective pass rushers. That's the only difference between us and the Eagles outside of the head coach, but the Eagles built bullies in the trenches, and majority of them were drafted. That's real right there. It's real, and it's doable too. He also said, I know we want all of the players, but with all the players available, who do you see us getting realistically? If you can get one player on defense and offense, who would you get? Some names on defense are Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. It will be Max Crosby for me. Straight up. Max Crosby would be the one. He said Jair Alexander, Reed, Khalil, etc. And on offense, you got Devontae Adams, Higgins, Debo, DK, and Hill rumors. But if I could choose, it would be Max Crosby and DK Metcalf.